Have you ever hired someone who seemed almost too good for the job? I mean, they've got skills and experience to spare. Well, it turns out our common assumptions about these employees might be completely, totally wrong.
Right? It's a classic dilemma for any manager. You worry they're going to get bored, they'll check out, and maybe, just maybe, they'll start hoarding their expertise to keep an edge before they leave for a better gig. But what if the exact opposite is true?
So, this right here, this really flips the script. The common view says they're disengaged, a flight risk, and they hoard knowledge. But a 2022 study found they're often more engaged, more proactive, and this is the kicker, they are more willing to share what they know, not hide it. So, let's dig into that.
Okay, so to really get our heads around why this happens, we first need to be on the same page about two key ideas.
First up is this thing called perceived overqualification. Now, this isn't about what their resume says or what we think. It's about how the employee feels. It's that little voice inside their head saying, hey, I can do a lot more than this job is asking of me.
And the second idea is knowledge hiding. And listen, this isn't just about forgetting to reply to an email or being busy. We're talking about a deliberate choice to hold back information when someone asks for it. Playing dumb, giving a vague answer, or promising to help later and never getting around to it.
All right, with those definitions in our back pocket, the research reveals something that pretty much turns our assumptions completely upside down.
So this is the heart of it, straight from the study. Inverse correlation, that just means as one thing goes up, the other goes down. So, put simply, the more an employee feels overqualified, the less likely they are to hide what they know. Surprising, right?
And you can see it right here in the study's own model. That arrow they've labeled H1, it shows a direct negative link from perceived overqualification, or POQ, straight to knowledge hiding, or KH. It means that feeling of being overqualified actually pushes down the tendency to hide knowledge.
But, okay, this brings up a pretty big question, doesn't it?
I mean, seriously, why wouldn't they hold on to that knowledge? Isn't that their source of power? Well, the answer lies in what the researchers basically call a secret ingredient in our mental toolkit.
And that secret ingredient is called psychological capital. Just think of it like your own personal reservoir of mental strength. It's not just a fleeting mood, it's a powerful set of resources you can actually draw on when you need them.
This toolkit is made up of 4 main parts. You've got self-efficacy, which is just a fancy way of saying confidence. Then there's hope, which is the drive to go after your goals. Optimism, that positive outlook. And resilience, your ability to bounce back when things get tough.
So here is how it all connects. The study found that feeling overqualified actually boosts this psychological capital. It makes sense, right? Having all those extra skills makes you feel more confident, more resilient, and when that mental toolkit is full, you feel secure. You don't need to hide your knowledge to feel valuable because you already feel valuable enough to share it with everyone.
But look, what's going on inside an employee's head is only half the story. The environment they're in, well, that plays an absolutely huge role.
And this is where something called person-organization fit comes in. It's that feeling of just belonging. It's when your personal values really line up with the company's culture. You feel like you're in the right place, working with your kind of people.
Now, this graph shows just how important that fit is. For employees who don't really feel like they belong, that's the dotted line. There's still an effect, but it's small. But now look at that solid line. For folks who feel a high sense of fit, the effect is dramatic. Feeling overqualified drives knowledge hiding way, way down. So here's the bottom line. A great culture acts like an amplifier. It basically supercharges the whole effect. When an overqualified employee feels like they truly belong, their confidence and their willingness to share just go through the roof.
So what does this all mean for you if you're leading a team? How do we actually turn all this cool insight into action?
Well, the study points to 3 really clear steps. First, don't ignore those extra skills your people have. Find ways to use them, maybe on special projects or as mentors. Second, you gotta actively build up your team's psychological capital with encouragement and support. And third, foster that sense of belonging. Create a culture of trust where people feel safe and valued enough to contribute everything they've got.
And this isn't just some abstract feel-good theory. These conclusions are grounded in a solid analysis of 249 employees, which makes these takeaways not just powerful, but really practical.
Ultimately, what the study is telling us is that if we handle it right, overqualification isn't a problem we need to solve. It's a massive opportunity. It can make employees feel more valuable,
which in turn leads to better performance and a much more collaborative team.
So that kind of leaves us with one final big thought, doesn't it? This research really challenges us to reframe the whole conversation. Maybe the real question isn't, how do we avoid hiring overqualified people? But instead, how do we create an environment where their amazing potential can be unlocked for everyone's benefit?